Thanks, Sam. Now we start at the top of this hour with that huge, dramatic breaking news in the world of politics for you. And it's this: the suspended former Labour Party MP Andrew Gwynne has announced in these past 15 minutes he will now stand down as an MP for medical reasons, he claims, paving the way for a potential return to Westminster for the Greater Manchester Mayor Andy Burnham. He could run as the Labour Party candidate in that by-election in Gorton and Denton for the Labour Party, and that could mean a head-to-head showdown down the line with Sir Keir Starmer. Now, in a post on Facebook, I think Chris Hope, you can read this out for us, our political editor. What has Andrew Gwynne told us on his public statement?
He's told us the honour of his life to be an elected representative for almost exactly 3 decades, he says. Over those years, I haven't got everything right, and I've certainly made mistakes. Well, not least about those text messages Martin you're referring to. But I've always tried my very best. He says he has suffered significant ill health over most of the 21 years I've served as an MP, which have been greatly exacerbated by the impact of last year's events regarding the leaked text messages. He goes on to say, we shared a message from his GP to say that it's not really safe to carry on to work as an MP, and therefore he's applied to the Chancellor to seek the office of Crown Steward of the Manor of Northstead. This means he can vacate his place as an MP, and that also means there'll be a by-election soon, he says, and he wishes his successor, whoever it is, all the very best. Who will that be, Martin? Well,
this interruption is brought to you by ExpressVPN and their New Year deal. New Year, new VPN, and a huge saving of up to 80% if you act now. You're busy planning how to get in shape, but the hackers are planning how to get into your accounts. ExpressVPN locks down your connection so you can start the year protecting your data. So scan the QR code or click the link in the description now.
Chris, all eyes on Andy Burnham. Has Andy Burnham yet commented at all on this? Before we get to my studio
Not yet. It's happened 10 minutes ago. We heard earlier he didn't know what the future was. He has talked about knowing Andrew Gwynne for many years, but we haven't heard yet the reaction from Andy Burnham. When we get it, we'll bring it straight to you. OK, that's a story that's coming at us fast. Let's get straight out to my studio guest. I'm delighted to be joined again by the Labour MP for Hendon, David Pinto-Dzyinski. David, welcome to Westminster again. It's a pleasure to have your company. You join us at a moment of high drama. By-elections are the very stuff that get us very, very excited as political journalists and as politicians yourself. But this might not be the best of news for your Prime Minister, your leader, Sir Keir Starmer. Everybody is eyeing this as a way back into Westminster for the man some people call the King of the North, Andy Burnham. Are you concerned that Sir Keir Starmer might himself be under fire here?
No, not at all. And look, obviously, this has just been announced. And for me, look, there's going to be a by-election. I'm looking forward to us prosecuting the Labour case so that we can give the people of Denton the fantastic Labour representation that they deserve. And we'll be fighting on things like the cost of living, on public services, on getting our NHS up and running again with the extra investment we put in. We're getting thousands more police on the streets, with dealing with the boats, all those things. And so I think it's a real opportunity to show that. But look, you mentioned Andy Burnham. Andy has said himself that Keir Starmer is the right person to be PM and that he's happy being Mayor of Manchester, and I think he's been a fantastic Mayor of Manchester. So look,
but he
I'm
would
not going to
say
speculate.
That, wouldn't he? When it comes down to a by-election, when it's down on the cobbles, it'd be very different.
Look, I'm not going to speculate on any of this. But what I would say is something about timing, because I think actually the timing this week is really striking. So we've just had a week where once again we've seen the difference between the strong leadership of Keir Starmer and the weakness of both Nigel Farage and Kemi Badenoch. So Keir this week has taken on Elon Musk and Grok and won. He laid out and stood firm for Britain's values on Greenland and has helped diffuse that situation. By contrast, we see Kemi Badenoch, who was forced to do a panic video from her breakfast table at 7 a.m. as her party falls apart. And Nigel Farage, and God bless him, he's nothing if not reliable. And in Nigel Farage, we have someone who can be absolutely relied on whenever there's an argument to take the other side. And so this is a man who obviously has supported Putin over Ukraine. I think, and when you look at someone like Nathan Gill, the only difference, let me finish. The only difference between him and Nathan Gill is Nathan Gill was paid bribes to parrot Russian lines, and Nigel Farage wasn't paid bribes. He does it for free. Or whether it's trade issues or whether it's now on on Greenland, where by the end he was signalling
David.
he agreed that Greenland should be given away. Once again, it's Keir Starmer actually coming through where the others haven't, and I think that will be the key difference. And the other one is now with the reform.
You can't keep talking until the end of the hour. Let's get back to the actual point in question here. David Pinto-Dujinski, a by-election has been called, and I hate to say it, but the scores on the doors are showing us it might not even be a safe seat for the Labour Party. Perhaps there aren't any safe seats left for the Labour Party. Let's get some numbers on the screen now. We've had Martin Baxter analyse them for us from Electoral Calculus. This isn't that one, but this is another one that's been done by Election Maps UK. You can see there, David, the scores on the doors are, it's a very, very fine margin for Labour to hold on to the seat on 29%, Reform on almost 27%, and the Green Party on 24%, a three-way split that show it could go anyone's way. And on that reform, on that electoral calculus stuff, if we can get that on the screen, it shows us that it's a bit hard to see, but it shows us that it's tipped at the moment to tip to the Green Party potentially. And by the way, so would the Prime Minister's seat, so would the Deputy Prime Minister's seat. It tipped to go to Green. So my point is this. If Andy Burnham is the candidate, there's no guarantee he will win. The Green Party, Reform UK, will be licking their lips to steam in.
But these the first thing I should say is these aren't actually polls of the seat. These are just national polls that applied. And if you applied averages to kind of everything, well, if you applied them to me, I'd be about 3 inches taller, right? I mean, the only poll that actually matters is the poll on the day. And again, I think it's really striking that in this week of all weeks, where Reform has absolutely given up the mantle of change, where it can no longer argue that it's the party of change, we now have a straight fight between people who can deliver change and people who simply play at it.
David, you're doing that thing that a lot of Labour MPs seem to do, and that is you pivot to make everything about Nigel Farage. It's almost like a Farage derangement syndrome. But I hasten to add, we must get back to the point. The polling is disastrous for Sir Keir Starmer. His personal popularity is lower than Hamas. I'm not even making that up. It's true. And a lot of people look to Andy Burnham as a more electable, a more robust successor. You must be concerned that Andy Burnham is more popular with the British public.
Look, Andy's doing a great job as Mayor of Greater Manchester. Keir is doing a really great job and an important job, as we've seen this week, as Prime Minister. And Andy himself has said Keir should carry on doing that job. Look, I'm not going to speculate. We are at the start of a process. Labour hasn't even begun its selection process. So I think we are layering speculation upon speculation. The real issue here is who's going to be the right representative, which party is going to be the right one to represent the people of Denton, which one's going to fight for to continue to cut the cost of living, to invest in public services and to bring national renewal. And there is only one answer to that question, and that is the Labour Party.
Well, Labour said it wants to have a local champion to be its candidate. Does that mean not Andy Burnham? Do you think the party wants Andy Burnham? He's the mayor, but how local is that? I mean, the Greater Manchester mayor. But do you want Burnham back?
Well, look, as I say, we're at the start of the selection process. It's not for me to speak. This was announced all of 10 minutes ago. Of course, whoever the Labour candidate is, I'm going to support them 100% because Denton deserves a Labour representative. But look, this is about making the case for a Labour government and for a Labour MEP to the people of Denton, and I'm really confident in that.
OK, thank you for joining us on this Breaking News Day. Always a pleasure to have your company in Westminster. David Pinto-Dujinski there, the Labour MP for Hendon. Thank you, sir. Appreciate your time.